Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Digital Media Sync. I am going to do a very quick introduction this morning to the show and to where I am, and then I'm going to bring my special guest on because I'm super excited to have her back. So Digital Media Sync is one of three programs that we run out of Known Co-working. And Known Co-working is actually open, and I'm actually sitting in my office at Known Co-working. So we are at 139 Orange Street in New Haven. You can find out more about Known at nhvknown.com, and you can see that there's offices available and dedicated desks for a day or by the month or 6 months, 1 year. So check that out. So Known Live has three programs, and we rebranded one of the programs, and it's the one that Barb Nangle hosts, and it is called Connection Corner now, because that's what we do. We make connections here, and we talk about businesses and artists and just all sorts of stories. So that's really something that you want to take a look at. And then we also have Pivot Talk, which is exactly what it sounds like. We talk about how businesses and different sectors have been pivoting, especially in the past 6 months, but just really when you have to make any sort of business changes. And then we have my program, which is Digital Media Sync. And I've been running Digital Media Sync offline for about 10 years. And we were an in-person kind of networking group for a period of time. COVID hit, and then we brought it online and made it a Zoom meeting, but I really wanted to bring it to as many people as possible. So now we have Digital Media Sync partnering with Known and the Known Live programming. So I'm super happy that I am here. So now I'm going to get right to it because we have a lot to cover. And so I'm going to bring Zeph Zahn up, and I'm going to, hey! So we just turned the energy in the room up like 2,000%. So here we go.
Woohoo! I hope so. You know, I'm not a morning person. So I'm just gonna like roll with the punches. So we gotta work together this morning because I haven't had coffee. I'm just running pure adrenaline right here.
Coffee. And it's National Coffee Day. And what is wrong with this?
I know, right? What is wrong with this? Where's our mugs? Where's our coffee? Oh, yeah. We're not even starting off right this morning. No, we're gonna be good. Let's just not jinx it. We're good.
Right. We're good. It's okay. Everything's good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back, and thank you for having me back.
Yeah. Well, I know that your creativity, your innovation, your expertise is in the live video realm. And so, who better to bring up on board? And just a quick note, if you want to see Zeph's other videos, we actually have those still up on nhvknown.com. And I know you also have live streams because you're constantly up on live streams with Entrepreneurs That Soar and the Definitely brand. I see that you got that up.
Yes. Triple Z now.
Triple Z and Triple Z.
Yes. I'm excited to be here. And I think our topic will probably help many of our audience or viewers who are actually working remotely right now or just trying to figure out how to just work online or use live videos, so I think it will be good. Yeah,
it's a big pivot. So I'm gonna pop your presentation up on the screen right now. Mm-hmm. There we are, and I'm gonna
yay!
You have control of the board.
Yay! All right. So I think when we talked about like what are we going to talk about, right? So
Yeah.
I thought this would be a great way to kind of get started because there's also commercials on TV right now that actually portray like everybody on a online meeting and then just doing presentations, and the presentations can be a bit weird, right? Because the viewers are going like, why is she just halfway up, right? So a lot of things come into play. I know, right? I go like, are you close? Anyways, so I thought about like how can we, enhance our viewers' live broadcast experience, and what that means. I think for us who are attending or viewing a live video, it could be an online meeting or a live presentation that is broadcasted live. Like how can make it more interesting or much more, I think, we can help them to kind of enjoy the experience while they're there. So I know I'm just going to share 10 today, but that's going to be a lot. And a lot more, actually. There's a lot of details that I'm kind of including in this because I think many of us who actually are presenters or hosts or producers don't really think about how can we create a great experience for our viewers, right? And a big part of that, Julia, I think is because, we don't think about it. We just kind of show up. But then we question, like, why aren't people coming back to consume the content, right? Whether we're losing, eyeballs or we're losing, viewership. So I thought maybe if I share a little bit from, how we, the hosts, the creators, content creators, the producers can kind of think of ways to kind of make the experience better for our viewers so that they can go like, hey, you know what? I like what I saw. And it's kind of cool, their setup, whatever it is to create that best experience for our viewers. So I'm going to share that in this today. So let's get started with number 1. Okay.
Got it.
Now, so I'm just going to kind of share the 3 things first that everyone's going to take away from this. Number 1, I think, they're going to discover the skills that will help them produce better broadcasts. It's kind of important because whether you're on this, right, on your phones, or you're on a computer, like we both are, we kind of have to figure out the skills that we need to produce like better broadcasts. Number 2, what can we do as hosts, producers, content creators, live content creators to enhance the process, the creation process? Because there's a lot of things that happen. And I think in the post, I send you the description. I said a lot of things can happen, especially with the tech to show up, right? Because you're trying to do a lot of things behind the scenes. And number 3, I'm going to kind of give everybody access to my live video broadcast basic toolkit list. And you will see this in the 1 to 10. And then if you want a PDF, we're going to just, tell you how to get that later.
How to get that, right?
Yeah. So here's number 1, which many of us don't think about, right? Connectivity. It is very important that we think about our Wi-Fi, our internet connection. I'm not saying Wi-Fi, internet connection. One of the things that many people don't think about is testing it. So let's just say, so I'm going to do 2 things. Most of the things I'm going to present today are like 1 on the phone, right? Yeah. The other one is using a computer because I think it's important to kind of share that. Hi, Rick. Good morning. Good to see you. So many people don't know how to test their upload speed. Do you know, Julia, that when we do streaming or live video, live broadcast, do you know which speed is more important, upload or download?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
This is what I mean. Yeah. You know what? Because we don't think about it. But here's the thing, right? So I don't know if any of you who's watching who can actually like resonate or, or kind of like say, oh my God, she's right. Because here's the thing. Sometimes we go around, whether we're on Wi-Fi connection or cell connection, right? We're not thinking because we think we're on cell. Yeah, we're good. We have 3 bars. Oh, we're good, right? But the moment we take Right. But the moment we take 3 steps to the right or 3 steps to the left here, I'm going 3 steps to the right, 3 steps to the left. And then you lose connection because the upload speed is the most important thing in streaming or broadcasting. So I'm gonna kind of, if you could do this for me, Julia, as I kind of share it, you can put this into the comments. Go to, so if everybody is on, actually whether you're on your mobile phone or your desktop, what you can do is go to speedtest.net.
Speedtest.net.
Yeah, speedtest.net. So with speedtest.net, you're able to see what your upload connection is. It'll run you the connection speed. It'll run the speed. First, they'll do the download speed and then the upload speed. The upload speed is the most important. So
it was right in there. The hint was right in there. Test your upload speed.
This is what I'm talking about, because here's the thing, right? So have you had, like, sometimes, especially on your phone, if we're walking and let's just say you're a travel blogger who does a lot of live broadcasts, right? This is the trickiest part because of the cellular connection. So when you're in cellular connection, the tricky part with the phones or mobile devices is that it all depends on your internet connectivity, right? So you move 10 steps left or 10 steps right, forward, backward, it may change. So that will somehow affect your users, or I'm sorry, not user, your viewers' experience watching your live broadcast. Because you can be frozen and go like,
you can be frozen.
You're frozen, and your frozen image will be like this.
It's always something that's just like, not,
You can relate to that, right? Because I've had that, because in the beginning, I never thought about it. So the best thing is, so my recommendation for mobile devices, if you're in the area where you have strong cellular connection, great, awesome. Make sure you test your speed. You can go to speedtest.net. Here's your most minimum upload speed. It needs to be at least 5 megabytes Mbps. Okay, 5 is like the most minimum. Underneath 5, and you can't get that stable connection for about at least 1 minute, you're not in a good stable connection. Okay. If you're in a Wi-Fi hotspot area, that's great. If you have a hotspot device that can actually provide Wi-Fi, that's great. And test the connection. It has to be about 5 Mbps, megabyte. Is it per second? Something like that. So that's one. Connectivity is very important, because imagine, you're doing like a cooking show, right? And then you go like, put in the onion. It's just like,
it's like, not, do what?
I know, like, and even we're doing trainings or demos, right? It kind of, I think, it kind of affects the viewers. I keep on saying users, the viewers' experience attending your broadcast. And if you have 5-10 broadcasts that actually have the same connectivity issue, do you think people won't come back? No.
Yeah, they're not going to trust that. Yeah, what
right,
you're doing.
Exactly. They're going to say, oh, each time she does her training or each time she goes live in a broadcast, her connectivity, it seems she is not stable, and she seems to go in and out. And when in and out, that affects a lot of the other stuff too. Okay, that's number one, which we don't often think about. Here's number two, right? Microphone. So if you're on the mobile, right? Here are your options. I'm recommending these options. Use unless you're in a very quiet place, you can use directly from your phone. But consider using your wired earbuds, right? The ones that come with your phone that has the mic, right? You can use that, because that gives much better audio clarity. Versus, like, especially when you're like, say you're by the beach and like you do a lot of nice videos, right? Yeah. And then you have wind, right? This will actually help minimize that noise distraction a little bit. Number two, if you're much more of a kind of like, I would say pro, but you just want to improve on the quality, there's something that you can put, there's a mic like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small mic. You can actually put it. These are great for interviews. Okay. I actually have the old phone. This one goes right in there. So you can actually do that. See? Oop, I have my picture. So right there. So that's your microphone.
Right.
Okay. So when you're doing interview, you can have a dedicated. This is great for close-ups, interviews. And then the other option is your wired lavalier or wireless lavalier,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that you plug it into your phone too, and then you can switch it on and off, so you have these. Then you have the earbuds, the one that I'm wearing right now. Here's the thing. The earbuds are great for both mobile and your desktop, because on the desktop, sometimes the what you call it, the mic on the computers are not that great, so you can use that, right? But also great for mobile, because now you have dual use, right? You can use your mobile and then you can actually use for your desktop. But if you're on a desktop, my recommendation really is a condenser mic. That is really high end, where you really want quality audio. Believe it or not, in a live broadcast, do you think video or audio is more important?
Well, interestingly enough, audio, really, because a lot of times you can look away and you can still hear what's going on, right?
Exactly. So
I
a
got
condenser mic, yay! And a condenser mic is similar to what everyone sees on the screen, which is, like people use for podcasts or singing. That's a great condenser mic. It does a lot of noise canceling. It kind of clarifies your audio. So consider using all these options, just because the audio of a video is very important. You can be, like you said, you can have an image, but you kind of need the audio to hear what is being said. So it's kind of important to have a good mic. So let's move on.
We're moving on.
Lighting. Moving on. Lighting. This is where everybody, I would say almost everybody, will have a challenge in the beginning, right? Because we're like, where are we, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So right now, even for me, I'm a little bit too bright, but here's the thing. All you need to do, and remember this, have light in front of you, not behind you. Sometimes we have glass windows, glass doors, or we're outside, right? The challenge is we have too bright of a sky. So you'll have to find like your background less light than your front, because when you actually do that, it's easier to see the
Right.
whole presentation. It makes it much more, I think. Do you feel, Julia, that if you have better lighting on your face, people seem to connect with you better in a presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, Zach, that it took me a long time to I was always moving around and kind of playing with lighting and stuff like that. And now it's so funny because I have this lovely desk lamp right here that I just turn, and it actually has a feature. And here's another thing to think about too, and you might mention it. There's white light, and then there's like a softer kind of red, orange, yellow kind of light. And so I've played with that as well. And I have to say, of all things, that is really the thing that I've really worked with, because if you're too in the dark or things are too bright, it's like people notice that. And it's just like, it is. It's really hard to connect.
One thing, always remember this: white light. Avoid yellow light, warm lights. We need cool lights. We need white, and as natural as possible. So here's the thought, right? So I'm just pulling all my tools today. So if you're on a device, so let's just say you're on your phone. One of the easiest thing to have is get one of these. It's a clip-on, right? So the ring light, you put it on there, right? Like that. So you start streaming. If you're in a dark place, even if you're in a car, think about this, right? Because sometimes you get inspired to speak in a car and you go live. Right. So it's great to have this here, right? So that's just some help. The other thing Oops, sorry, have to go a little bit. So here's an example of this is a little bit more, I would say, any more I'm sorry, a little bit more advanced, right? Or intermediate. So I have my iPad, right? I have the what you
Yeah.
might call it, the rig for it. So there's things like this. It's a small, like a small lighting. It fits in the horseshoe here, right there, right? Oh, I'm putting it the wrong way because this is facing me. Doesn't matter where, but you kind of like put it on into the horseshoe. Let me just put this on real quick, and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, it's not working with me. Anyways, it goes right here, okay? And then all I have to do is switch it on. So if I'm doing an interview, think about this, right? So I have my rig, my iPad rig, and I have that. So you don't really have to carry those studio lighting. But as you can see in this picture, I have what they call the soft light box, which is that square. And that's what's helping me to at least, even if you don't order the whole, setup, which is a photography setup, you can just use one. Ideally, there's a setup for it if you have the space. Great. But in this form of a ring light, they also have the big one, right? So for some people, think about, if you don't have a lot of space and you want that light right in front of you, you can use the ring light, the big one, the one that's on that comes in a stand. If not, use like the one you're seeing on the screen, which is the soft light. You can use one or two depending on how you set it up. Okay. Right. Ideally, you have two left and right. That is if you have the space, but if you don't, think about little things like lights like this, or even any kind of white light lamp in front of your face, not behind. So if you have windows or screen doors that have light, move away. Right. Try to get that light. If you don't you don't have the soft light, try to use those lights. Optimize that onto your face, not behind you. Yeah, because then
so that the light can come in through the window, and then you can add light from there.
Exactly. And test out, because here's the thing. Sometimes you'll have, like, if you're not in the right position, right? Half of your face, like me, I have it's balanced. Like, but make sure make sure you don't have like a Jekyll and Hyde lighting where you have one dark and one light, right? So kind of one that
you're going for,
That's so funny. I know, it's just like, what does she say? But that's the lighting part. It is kind of important, and especially if you're on your phones, right, and you're outside doing broadcasts, be aware of where you are, because sometimes when we're talking, we forget that the sun is like right here. And you go like, we can't see, who is this talking, right? So think about that. Lighting is in front of your face, not behind you. Okay, that's lighting, kind of important. Number 4 is webcam. Here's my recommendations. I'm going to talk about using a webcam, external webcam on your computer. The reason is not many computers come in with great, built-in cameras. So an external webcam, like you're looking at on the screen, is great because it has zoom capabilities. It has wide angle. You can pan it if you want. So it's great to have, a good webcam, because that actually improves video quality. Cooking shows, makeup demos, right? Those are great broadcasts that need to use an external webcam. Even like, I think, like us, if we do a lot of live broadcasts, consider investing in a webcam, external webcam. So you can just plug in a USB webcam and then you can just run it. Right. Do you use that on your computer, Julia?
So on my computer, my camera is actually very good, but I also do use an external webcam at times as well. So there's going to be times where I'm going to be like, I want to be at the board, or and then I really have to kind of expand my capabilities. Yeah, but at this very moment, I'm not. I'm only using the camera that's on the computer because I'm using the computer. But you can put a cam up there as well, and I've
Yes.
done that. I've kind of gone back and forth.
Right. So
And there's
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I want everybody to think about why I'm recommending a webcam. And I see Lance ask a question. Lance, we'll get to your question in a bit. But here's a reason why I think people need to reconsider or even consider an external webcam or actually a quality video. If I think an external webcam is great for beginners to intermediate, but if you're going to advanced, that's the option also. This is like, I'm not talking about advanced because we can, but I just want to keep it simple today. Like, people can use DSLR cameras, right? They can do that. Awesome. And sometimes your phone cameras are better than your built-in cameras too. So that's a way to kind of patch it all in. But just to keep it easy and simple is a webcam. Do we want to answer Lance's question?
Yeah, we're on that right now. So I'm going to pop it back up, the question.
Okay.
And good morning to Lance.
Hi, Lance.
Did Lance have his coffee? We were just talking. It's National.
I know.
We haven't gotten our coffee.
We're working on no coffee right now, Lance. So we're like,
But we have
anyways.
And yeah. So are there webcams that you like Logitech or any other kind?
My favorite and the favorite of many live broadcasters or live streamers are two: Logitech C920 or Logitech C930C, which is a newer version. But I would say if you were to start off, the most basic and really, really great external camera is Logitech C920. That is where I would actually I will actually have the links to all these tools. I'll tell you how to get to the list later on. Maybe just send me an email and I'll send you the PDF. The thing is that Logitech has been around for a while. And I've also tested other wide angle cameras, and all this stuff. They don't seem to match Logitech's cameras. So the C920 and C930C are two great cameras, external cameras for your computer that you can use to stream and produce better content. Here's why. I wanted to think, because I was starting to share this earlier, but I don't know if people got it. Here's the thing is that one of the things people don't think about, if you're a content creator, like maybe, you do this often, you may want to start using an external camera or any kind of good camera, because here's the thing, we want to repurpose content, right? So if the content that you created, the live content that you created, that you want to repurpose it down the line, whether it's for your training or membership or whatever, you want quality video. So you may want to use a better camera or webcam to kind of produce the content. Does that make sense? So I think the content creation process needs to be thought about too when we, think about all this, not only enhancing our viewers' experience while they're there, because sometimes, the cameras are blurry. You go like, what is that? I know I've had that, right? Or sometimes people have backgrounds. You go like, what is that in the back? So, or what is that on her teeth? But that's a great way to look at it, is repurposing, right? Because if you want better quality videos, then think about better quality webcam or camera. All right. Then here's another thing. Backdrop. Oh my God. I can't say enough about backdrop. Very little. I mean, it may be a small aspect of the whole streaming for many people, because you're like, I don't really care. But think about this, right? So we're talking about helping our viewers enjoy our live broadcast, because our viewers pay attention. So depending on your content and what you're doing, if you're if you're providing tips and resources for woodworking, Of course, I don't expect your woodworking garage, right, to be perfect or pristine. But I want to kind of share about one thing that people have been using a lot since this times where everyone's getting online, Julia, is this fake backdrop. Please don't use them. If you don't have a whole of your lighting and your green screen, please don't use them. I want to give you an example.
Oh, like horrible.
Who in here, if you're watching this, even you're watching in replay, we would like to know, are you one of those people that actually use the Zoom backdrop? Like you can upload your own picture and put your own backdrop. And here, my backdrop, it's not real, but it's actually, I can touch it, right? Because it's actually a photography backdrop. So I want you to think about using a photography backdrop, or you just use a wall, or you want to make it more exciting. You can kind of set up your backdrop. Like you'll have some, intermediate broadcasters that go like, I don't really want to buy a backdrop. I want it to have a feel of my space. Then clean up your back, right? The backdrop. Like don't leave like underwear and they go like, oh my God, I forgot my underwear. I don't know. But I think if you especially doing, for business, right? Or even any kind of like you want a quality presentation, think about the backdrop. You can have a black screen, like a black cloth or whatever. Mine is basically a photography backdrop, just like you see on the screen right here in my presentation. But it doesn't look like it's a photography backdrop. People often ask me like, did you actually paint all those bricks? And I'm like, do I look like I paint? So be mindful of what you have behind you, right? If you're in the office, great, declutter your back, and like I said, depending on what content you're creating, think about what's behind you, because sometimes your audience get distracted about what's in the back, right? Because suddenly it shows up on camera, it goes like, and they're gonna go like, so do you want them to focus on you and your presentation and your content, or do you want them to think about what's in the bag there? Like, oh, that looks good. I wonder where she bought it, right? So stuff like that. So I'm always saying backdrop, make it a clean look. That's what I'm recommending. And please don't use those fake backdrops, because here's the thing. Have you ever seen on Zoom or whatever, if people put in that backdrop, right, and they don't have the lighting right? Because having that fake green screen backdrops, your lighting has to be great. So I've seen people go in and out of camera, and then they go like in between, like they go, oh my God, like they go in and out of,
like follows them.
Yes, right? And then suddenly it's stuck in the face. So I'm like, and then not only that, because there's all this line sometimes, because lighting is not great. So we don't know how to do it. You're not a pro. If you're a pro, then work on it. Because it has a lot to do with your lighting, your backdrop, your green screen backdrop. So I would recommend not use it, because it is a distraction, because your viewers are going to go like, oh my God, he uses this backdrop all the time. He uses this backdrop. I'm like distracted. And it's suddenly like, when they don't know, and especially if the presenter has high energy like me, they're going in and out, and then they go like, where did that presenter go? Because maybe the shoulders are there, the face isn't there, right? And go like, oh my God. So that's what I want to kind of like share about the backdrop. Kind of important to think about it. Then number 6 is framing. All right. This is what I'm talking about, framing. What comes to mind when I say framing for you, Julia?
Well, it's just basically where you're positioned, right? So like, are you centered? Are you off to the side?
Exactly. Can you imagine if I just show up this way?
Yeah.
Like, hi. And you see my chair. So framing is important. And especially if you have 1 or 2 people, think about that, right? And then here's the thing, the challenge that people don't think about. So I'm going to go into this a bit later, but think about this. Let's just say you use a phone, right? A phone, you kind of need to maintain your framing, you can see because it's just a small device. You don't use a tool. But if you use a streaming tool or broadcasting tool like we are using right now, like StreamYard, when you change, you use the features in the platform, right? Right now you have us both on the left, Julia, and we both are at the center. The moment if we're off center and you change a little bit, Julia, can you just kind of demo this? Like we have the big frames and then we'll next to each other, right? Right. And then if I was here, then I would be like, oh, so weird. The other thing to think about, just from a user of like viewers, I keep on saying users, viewers, perspective is, for me at least, right? Because I'm the producer, I'm always like, I want people balanced out. So if you see Julia and I right now, I'm not really framed properly as far as sizing. And when I'm talking about sizing, framing is your head, right? So I'm maybe a little bit behind. I look like this, and Julia's like closer to her camera. That's important, especially. Correct. Very, very important, I think, as producers of online summits, interviews, right? Those are important because you're presenting in a kind of formal manner. Think about that. Think about the user experience. Let's just give an example of newscasters, right? Why do you think whether they're tall, short, or whatever, they have seats. They have seats that go up and down. They kind of have to balance them out. And whenever you see them on the news, on broadcasting a news, they're kind of like always framed right. Whether they're close to that camera, if not, they have to move it. So think about that. Many people don't really think about it, but I always, as a producer, that's like what I do in the green room before we go live. And I always say, like, can you come closer to the camera? Can you like push yourself back? And sometimes this is the challenge when we're not using external camera that can probably have digital zoom, right? You can't really so basically you have to move yourself.
You have to move yourself.
Right. Or your computer, right? But if you have the zoom on the zoom feature on your external camera, you can kind of just like in and out that use that feature. Does that make sense to you? Is that kind of important thing from a user experience? Because here's the thing. We're using this feature right now, right? The name. Imagine if I'm right here.
Yeah.
You see the difference? Right? It's right over my mouth.
My name.
Right. So, you kind of frame it this way so that you can see everything positioned clearly. So this is all framing. Because sometimes you're on the side and you go like, and you're talking, and it's like right on your mouth and it distracts the viewers, So anything like, producers put on for graphics, it kind of interferes with that. So that's framing. Very important. Think about it. Do that before you go live so that, when everybody's live, they know like how many inches they're always, able to go to the left, to the right, whatever. But, because like some speakers, they'll just do this, move a lot. So when we do framing before we go live, it kind of like helps the presenters to think about, be mindful of the space they should be in. So that's important, I think. Now, number 7, graphics, right? One of the things I always share with people, why do we see shows that have different graphics like, DMS, Known Live, all the different branding, right?
Branding.
What makes you different, right? Because here's the challenge. Let's just say 10 people use a StreamYard for their live broadcast. If you don't customize the look and feel of your content, then nobody's going to remember us.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense? Like everything else. So graphics are important. So I think, use graphics that are kind of like branded to your, that are branded to what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Generally. Because let's just say if like I'm always colorful because my new branding is a lot of colors just because kind of I'm matching this. So use colors. But what I'm saying is like do something different. The background, like, you have the background right here in digital media, seeing that picture of like what, like little blue squares.
Yeah.
Yes. Like a watermark, make it something exciting, because some of the features in in this platform, actually, you can use to kind of customize it. So customize the look, whether it's the color, the font, what makes you different. Make sure that when people see your live broadcast, they go like, oh, that's DMS. They know, or that's known live, right? So people will always remember that, So graphics are important because it's all about branding, and think about that. So definitely if you're doing a presentation, like a slide presentation, like we're sharing right now, think about that too, how it matches, to who you are. Now, number 8, this is kind of important too, in kind of creating that experience for your audience. So many people, when they start, we start here, right, Julia? We don't really think about like, oh, platform. Okay, I'll just use Facebook Live. Okay, great. 1 month down the road, you go like, I need more, because maybe you want to be a constant live content creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest think about the platform. The platform will kind of determine whether you will stay creating a lot of your live content on mobile or computer. It is important to think about the platform, because as you grow, doesn't matter if you're doing demo, like, woodwork, or you're a gardener, or you're a foodie, you're a chef, somebody who's cooking, or if you're a professional coach doing training. Think about the platform, because we want our audience to engage and participate. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to use tools like slide presentations. It's kind of hard to do that on this with slide presentations. So think about the platforms that will allow you to create live content that has customization, engagement. Can I insert videos? Can I insert images? Think about that. Can I find a way to put questions that my audience comment and put it up like we did with Lance question, right? So think about that, because in the long run, when you pick the right platform, you will know what the quality of your video or your presentation looks like on your live broadcast. Then you can plan it a little bit better to look the way you want to feel. And one of the biggest things I say, match your presentation's goals. Because if you don't think about the presentation, it's just like, making a movie or doing online summits. You have to figure out, like, this is going to be a video. How can I make it much more interesting for the viewers, right? So figure out a platform that can deliver that and match your goals. Like if your goal is, at the end of the day, I want to use a slide presentation so I can create some sort of call to action on video, on screen, so people can just click a link that I drop in the comments and blah, blah, blah. So I think platform is important. Do you think it's important?
Very important.
Yeah, because sometimes people go like, oh, I'll just use Zoom. I know. Many people go like, what's wrong with Zoom, Zaf? Zoom is an online meeting tool. It's not really a live broadcasting tool. So if you want to create conversations like this, and stream it out, and then down the line, repurpose the content.
Zoom was when I was like, oh, let's have a meeting. Let's do this as like a discussion, a presentation. But if you want to stream, Zoom even had to partner, and utilize Facebook in order to stream. But if I want to stream elsewhere, I need to use a platform like StreamYard, or I can go to Facebook, I can go to LinkedIn. I'm going to business people, to people who are entrepreneurs, to people who want to create content, to people who want to learn more about tools and best practices. Yes. I need more.
Exactly. Here's the thing, right? So I want you to think about this, and I talk a lot about this because because my specialty is live broadcasting / live videos, right? Or live streaming. Depending on whichever word or phrase that you pick. The thing is with Zoom, it's just an online meeting tool. Can you customize it to look like what it's looking right now? Not entirely, because you might be able to use slide presentations, but the whole framing customization, what you look on screen, if you see top left, we have the known life and digital media saying logos. We can't have that in Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom has a standard look. Yeah, it has a speaker view, it has an online, like a gallery view, and then it has all the standard, like the chat participants, blah, 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 and all that stuff. We don't want that in a live video, because think about this, right? Because ideally, what many content creators don't think about is repurposing. For me, when I produce live content, I'm already thinking post-production. The least post-production work I do with these videos, the better. Meaning, if I have to insert my logo, I already have that opportunity to put the logo in. If I want lower thirds, our names, it's already there. If I want the ticker, it's already there. All I have to do, maybe down the line, post-production, all I have to do really is to just, clip the segments, whatever I want, and, create shorter clips. I can do that. But with Zoom, yes, you get a recorded video, but then you'll have to go into post-production work, right? Because you have to put logo, and maybe you want to clean it up and you want to insert more video. I don't know, but it is not a live broadcasting tool. It has live broadcasting features, like you can just pick to stream to Facebook, but it is not a live broadcasting platform. So think about that. It's like, TV production, it's just all different tools. So in order to create a better viewer experience, because they enjoy watching your presentations or consume your content, think about live video broadcasting platforms. So it has to match your presentation goals. 9. Spotlight feature. So here's what I'm talking about, right? As the host, producer / content, live content creator, sometimes we think we have to use all the features that we have in that streaming platform. Hello, Julia, from the StreamYard perspective, let's just say StreamYard because we're using that today. That's a way for us. Let's do this. Let's do this for example. Let's do focus on one person.
Oh, wait a minute.
Boop. Boop, right? Okay, what? Yay! Let's put 2 of us next to each other. Awesome. And then the next us next to each other in the smaller one that we have the frame around it, right? So what I'm saying is you don't have to use them all. Pick one. But here's the thing. Very important. When we do spotlight features, think about the viewer's experience watching this. The thing is that sometimes when we do an interview, let's just take an interview, for example. If we just put the person back, 2 of them on all the time, it's going to be like talking heads. But think about this. In video, what is the most important? When you watch videos, Julia, what gets you bored?
What gets me bored?
Yeah. When you're watching the video too long, like you're watching a 15-minute video, right? Because we have, we only have 7 seconds retention, right?
Right.
Attention span, right? So what gets you bored?
Yeah. So to me, it's like if people have no movement when they're talking.
We're looking at the same screen or view or image for the same time, right?
At all the same time.
Right. So as producers, right, I am always being mindful, for me especially, mindful of how I switch those looks. Here's my tip for all of you is when you do spotlight features, think about this. Let's just say if Julia's talking, maybe she want to put herself after this 2 side-by-side look, she just wants to put herself on because she's sharing a very important content. Mm-hmm. So she needs to be spotlighted. Now, if I am presenting and I have a very important content, then she can spotlight me. She can also spotlight me with an addition of the slide presentation, right? See? Boom! This is what I'm talking about. Because now we are using our eye movements to stay connected. As producers, content creators, we're using our viewers' eye movements to retain and sustain them watching the live broadcast. Because whatever is being presented at the moment, it is very important to match the imagery on the screen. Does that make sense to you, Julia? And one more thing, yeah, like that, right? So if we're having back and forth conversation, we both want to have in there. And if we're talking about, number 9, spotlight features, and we're having a conversation about it, great. Have the slide presentation on, and we both on screen. I'm having goosies because this is the most mistake that people make. The hosts or producers. I know it's challenging to use it to do that on the phone, but one thing on the phone I recommend is this. In order to like spotlight features, let's just say we're on the phone doing this. You can always, like, have you watched videos that just have those, presenters that just have paper? And then they write things on the paper, and then they change the paper. Yeah. It's like a cue card, right? Our eyes change and we move, right? And we don't get bored because we're always looking like, what's coming up next, right? So think about things like that when you're on your phone. But when we're doing presentations on the on computer and using a streaming tool or broadcasting tool like StreamYard, think about how can you make the video much more exciting instead of just looking at one scene that somebody's talking head, or whatever, So like, let's just say I'm showing this ring light. So maybe Julie wants to highlight me. So I'm going to talk like this. Right, maybe, right? Like that. So you're going to put this onto your phone, right? Like this. So when I'm demoing, very important, the producer wants to highlight that, right? Because you're showing the what the presenter is sharing at the moment, right? So here's another tip also. So whenever you're sharing, right, some demo or presentation, like maybe somebody's cooking and it moves to a second camera. So when we do camera, it's also great to have multi-camera, especially if you're doing demo, like cooking, makeup, right? Closer up front. Just think about what you watch on video, on TV. Everything changes. And then as I'm doing this clip, right, like this, hey, get this. This is how you use your ring light. You see the ticker can come on and off because it kind of needs to match whatever the call to action of the presenter.
Which I'm not doing right now.
Right. So spotlight features, if you want your audience to sustain more, right? Think about how you're using them in your presentations, because that would actually alter or have an effect on the quality of your video, because now you're just not looking at a head or two heads talking, but you're doing demos. And they go, by the way, look here. Oh, I'm always pointing the wrong side. Look here. See? See, stuff like that, just to make your viewers' eyes change, because you want to retain, because they're always going to be curious people and go like, oh, what's coming up next? So change the scenes and spotlight features. You don't have to use it all, but plan ahead like what you're going to use so that you can actually have a better quality video. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
What do you think? What do you think you've seen in the past when it comes to spotlight features that you think, we as presenters or hosts or producers can actually improve?
Oh my goodness.
Things that you've seen and you go like, that's not matching whatever she's saying. Like, have you, anything comes to mind?
That's something that like just in the past few weeks, as I've been producing stuff, that I really just realized, I was like, wow, not only do I have to have my presentation ready and have myself framed and that sort of thing, but I have to have comments and banners up ahead of time, like the ticker down at the bottom, and like be ready when there's a question and flip that question up so that people will see it. And I'm actually starting to notice more when people don't have that. So again, I know that how you were talking about Zoom. And one of the biggest things is that when there's a Zoom conversation up on screen and all you see is boxes and you don't see people who are talking being highlighted. And so you're trying to find the person when you're on Facebook live stream and there's 8 people and one person's talking. You're like, who's the person talking and what's their name and what are they saying?
Exactly.
It's like,
and that's why. Exactly. And you shed sport on. And that's why when I have consults or clients asking me, but why can't I just use Zoom for my webinars or live webinars or live presentation? I ask them what their goals are because and I've had a recent client who just like, why can't I just use Zoom for my webinar? Because here's the thing. They're thinking about quality live broadcast. Their head is thinking CNN look or any other CB, whatever. CNN look, news, the broadcasting, all those broadcasting premium news channels, how they're presented. And, they want their content to be like that. And I said, Zoom can't do that unless you use like a tool, like a third-party tool that can create that broadcasting element. But I said, but what if you just invest in a tool that can do all that, instead of multiple tools? Correct. So I want to kind of really hone this down to everyone's watching. If you're thinking about live broadcasting, live videos, or live content creation, think about the platform or the tool, right? Because it is important. Because when it comes to live broadcasting, to me, Julia, I don't think about having 20 people or even 10 people on screen. That defeats the purpose of live broadcasting for me, because it's a distraction. Because you'll have 9 other people or 6 at least other people who's just going to be on screen, not talking, and just go. No, it's a lot of distraction, I feel. If you're doing a town hall meeting, you're doing that kind of presentation, it may work where you have everybody contribute to the conversation. That's fine. But if you only have 5, 6 key presenters in a live broadcast, we don't really want to use a tool like Zoom. That's just my opinion, my professional opinion, because it is a distraction. And therefore, there's a lot of things that we have to figure out, and then we can't enhance the quality of our broadcast. Okay. That's why it's kind of important to think about the platform.
All right, I'm going to pop us all back on here.
We have 2 more minutes, and I'm going to wrap up with number 10, which I think is very important. Let's go. Number 10, multitasking skills. And I really, and Julia can attest to this, I'm going to tell you this, and many of you will be asking, what does it have to do with the viewer's experience? Can you probably share your thoughts about that, Julia?
Yeah, so as we're running this right now, and you just saw in the last segment of this in number 9, I am actually not only in front of the camera, I am behind the scenes right now. So I'm looking for comments, I'm looking for questions in the question section, I'm moving us around, so I'm moving the speakers around. I'm right now, if there was just the 2 of us and I'm talking, I want to be over here. So I'm trying to do things very, very smoothly. If there's noise in the background and I don't have a proper mic, I'm going to mute myself until that noise goes away. And I'm just going to be like, Steph is talking and I'm just letting her talk. And there's nothing going on back here. So it's constant. There's constant multitasking going on, even as I'm sitting here talking.
I agree. And here's the thing why I think this is not a skill that you will develop overnight. It's definitely a skill for the host or producer or the live content creator to develop over time and over practice, right? The reason number 10 is one of the most important things to think about is this. So let's just say if we're doing, okay, you're gonna plop your camera phone or your phone or mobile device, maybe on a tripod. And I actually have one of the it's actually the one that would actually help with mobility. So if I'm moving, I can use this or wherever I'm going. So imagine if I have to use this, right? And I still have to talk, number one, and then I have to make sure that I engage and help them participate. Then I have to look at my screen and go like, you know what? I'm going to actually flip my camera so that not only one view or spotlight feature, not only on me, I'm also featuring something, especially if you're a travel blogger and you're doing live broadcasts. You want to flip your camera, right? Not only on you, but you're also flipping your camera to allow your viewers to see the other stuff. Now, if you're on a computer, you have to think about all the 20 different things you may have to do behind the screen. Just like Julia said, flipping the view, right? The spotlight feature. She's going to put the ticker. She's going to put questions or comments. She's going to try to engage. Not only that, she's going to maintain. So I'll put right here on the screen, if you could put that back up, Julia, on number 10, it says here, maintain segment flow efficiently. Why do you think maintain segment flow is important, Julia?
You're going to lose people. Again, I mean, it's all about, we're doing this from the perspective of the viewer, right? And what Correct. Is the viewer experience?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. If we can't multitask, we're going to have a lot of silence and like silent moments, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And then your audience is going to say like, what is he doing? What's she doing? Does she know what she's doing? Like, who's coming up next? Like, what is this presentation? And let's think about this, right? So if we're not multitasking well, we're not managing the segment flow. When I say segment flow, you have an opening, you have the main presentation, and then you have the closing, how you wrap it all out. It's a wrap, right? However you do it, your opening may have like an awesome line, your closing may have an awesome line. Think about if you can't have a handle of that and learn how to multitask, at the end of the day, you're going to lose your audience because they're thinking like, what is this? And then think about those audience or the live viewers that come in. Maybe they're not able to watch at the beginning of the show. They come in like probably 20 minutes into the presentation, right? And if you don't have a flow or not thinking about like how you can remind where they are, you're going to lose them because at 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 1 minute, they're going to go like, what is this show all about? Why is she like looking like all over the place? It's got a lot to do with behind the screen too, especially if you're the host or producer, because we have to retain or sustain our audience or viewers. So if we multitask well behind the scenes, keep everything on the flow, we're getting the spotlights done and all the different things done, the video gets better because now they're all smooth, right? Because we're thinking about, when do we put the lower third? When do we put up the slide? When to put the ticker down that find out more at Known Live Digital Media saying, when do we put all that up? When do we feature one person? When do we have two people? It's like a producer in a TV show, right? Yeah. So think about that, because it's a video that you will have to probably repurpose for future use. So that's it, folks. That's a wrap, folks. I hope I've shared enough, today of value that could help live content creators like you and I and other producers. So when I talk about this is, whoever uses live broadcasts or live videos in the work that they do, whether it's for community, for business, for whatever, think about all these things to kind of create a way to have a better experience, to have your viewers come back and consume your content.
That's perfect. And what a way to end.
Beyond that, I hope it's okay.
No, it was great. It was great. I'm just gonna leave us up for like 30 seconds if there's any additional comments or questions within the next 20 or 30 seconds. But you've been doing this. I have a question. You've been doing this for such such a long time, and I remember like you just moved through whatever platform. It's like Periscope is coming up, and this is coming up, and that is coming up, and then now we have platforms that can stream to multiple platforms. And so I think it's been such a learning experience for me. I think maybe like what are the top couple of things that you really, really had to learn to kind of keep you anchored, with everything changes. Like these are like the three things that always keep me anchored.
Number one is, I think, a lot of patience because we're dealing with technology, right?
Mhm.
Not only dealing with technology, because you have to do a lot of testing that matches your goals, right? Because we're thinking, when I say goals, let's just go much more specific, your delivery goals, because you're delivering your presentation, which is your content, whatever it may be, whether you're a cooking show or makeup, beauty, whatever, or demo, or even like woodworking, gardening, or virtual summit. It's always going to, you need to test the platforms or whatever that you need to do to test that flow. So you always need to have patience because the tech gremlins will show up. And especially if you're new, you're questioning, why is it I have this tool and it's not working? I paid $25 for it, blah, blah, blah. And then you check your connection, your connectivity is less than 5 Mbps, right? And you're actually blaming the tool when actually the problem is on your side. So a lot of patience, I think, that has kind of anchored me and kind of kept me in the game, because I need to I need to remind myself that you got to be patient because you're dealing with technology, and
Yeah.
technology, yeah, it doesn't really care. It's a robot, right? It's just, it only knows. So somebody has said to me in the past, these machines, this technology, they only know 1010110. So you kind of like are dealing with that. So be patient. And number two, what always has helped me and anchored me where I am is testing. You always need to test, because if you don't test everything that you do, think about if you watch TV shows, if the whole huge production is like 100 people. So think about this, right, Julia? You and I were doing this, like you're hosting this, you're one person doing all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine the technology that has come a long way, that you do not need all the
All the
production
other,
tools in studio,
yeah.
right? But you're able to at least produce similar quality, if not the same, similar quality,
Similar.
right? So
Yeah.
it's quality
Yeah.
presentation, video content. So I think testing is a big part. So the patience and testing kind of go hand in hand, because if you don't test what you're using, because you're using a tool most of the time, doesn't matter if you're using a very simple basic tool like like Facebook or YouTube Live, whatever, you're just using a tool, but you're at the mercy of the technology. So you kind of have to do a lot of testing and have the patience. And number three, to kind of get better at what I do, I think I have to just show up and be consistent. If you're not doing that, you will not know. And we know technology changes from time to time. All right. It's like changing your underwear. Duh.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah.
But, we can't keep up with our phone upgrades. So if you don't test and you don't have patience and then you don't do it consistently, something gets an upgrade and you realize the tool that you're using yesterday may have changes today. So
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest thing. I think show up consistently, so you kind of use it consistently, so if there's any changes, you're kind of on top of things. In the live broadcasting world, live video content world, I feel like even if it's a week, something may change and may get upgraded, right? Because
Yeah.
iOS or Android gets upgraded, all the apps kind of like need to upgrade too.
Right
So
from
if
there. Yeah.
most you miss a show up, you're not doing consistently, you may come back and go like, the app is entirely new. You go like, oh, it didn't look like that 2 days ago. Right? So I think the three things, patience, a lot of testing, and show up consistently.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much for joining me. As always, we're going to place this particular episode up on nhbknown.com. If you click on the Known Live, and the drop down is Digital Media Sync, so just go to there and you'll see other videos, including a couple of other videos where Zeph is the is the guest there. Do we have one more slide? Do we have more?
I do. Oh, well, if you can't put this up, this will be great. I thought it would be great. Yay! Yes, contact information. If anyone wants that video, I'm sorry, I'm not video, access to my basic toolkit. So I'll send you information about like the ring light, the links to where to get them, the best pricing and all that stuff, level your mics, and even, like this, which ones. The reason I'm giving access to the toolkit is I think it helps those new people, right? New live broadcasters to have less testing time. They know, there's a trusted source that is recommending, so they can kind of take a look at their options and resources. The other thing to consider is something like this, which is for the cars, right? So you can clip your phone here and then you can put it on the suction cup on the car for some of you who happens just want to sit down in the car, not driving and broadcasting. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me put a disclaimer out there. Sometimes I'm in the car, I'm inspired. I don't want to hold my phone, but I want to have that stability. So I'm going to put it right there and then put my phone here. Right. And then kind of like put it on the suction cup on my windshield, and I can just talk and present my ideas in there and keep. The reason I use tools like this so that the video quality is better. So I'm not like shaky video. So you can do one of two things. You can go to where my contact information is, zevzen.com/contact, and send me your email there and let me know that you'd like access to my basic live broadcast toolkit. Or you can just put your email, because I know some people don't want to share their email. Just put your email in the comment section of this video too. You can do one or the other. So but if I share my contact information, you can just do one or the other.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna say goodbye to Zeph for now, and I'm just gonna
bye everybody.
Take a couple more minutes. Goodbye. Thank you for coming. So, whoopsies, I wasn't first. See, I can still make boo boos. All right, so thank you very much for everybody for coming. So next week, we're going to talk about Facebook, and specifically Facebook Business, because there have been some changes to the Facebook Business Suite, and I want to talk to you about those. If you have a business on Facebook, you should be using the Facebook Business Suite. I had talked a little bit about this a few weeks ago, but there have been changes to both the desktop and to the mobile. So these are really going to be helpful for those of you who have businesses. If you want to take a look at some of the other Facebook videos that I've done, they are on nhbknown.com. And I had talked about doing Facebook shopping, some Facebook advertising, and then also the business page overall, but this is the whole suite, so we're going to be talking about that. Okay, so that's next week. I'll see you then. And